So that's when they realize that they are hypocrites and they will want to turn vegan. So always.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Compassion India Bulletin. I am Nandita Kapadia, the managing editor of Compassion India magazine, and today we feature Shweta Savla. For those who don't know her, she's the founder of United for Compassion International Foundation that's based in Mumbai. And for those who do know her, she's also a speaker, a graphic artist, a filmmaker, a digital marketing strategist, and an avid trekker. Welcome to the Bulletin, Shweta. You have
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
You have been collaborating with organizations and groups across India to create awareness about animal cruelty and veganism. So, what are your observations about vegans and about veganism and vegans in India?
So the best part is veganism is rapidly speeding up here in India, but then there are few observations that I've made, the mistakes that vegans are doing. However, there are many mistakes that I've noticed, but then I will boil it down to few 10 mistakes, which are the major highlights, I can say. So the very first mistake. So first is be unapologetic. So there are so many vegans who, when they're trying to advocate about animal cruelty or when they're trying to convince people to go vegan, they usually try not to offend the opposite person. But they have to understand that when they are stating facts, it is truth that they are exposing. You don't have to sugarcoat the truth. You cannot do that. You just have to state as it is. So be sure about what you're saying and state facts, and don't bother about whether the person is getting offended, whether the person is liking it or not. When you are saying something, just say it as it is. So the next is ask more questions. So usually when vegans are talking to other people, to non-vegans especially, they are trying to explain them in such a way that they know everything. They are not ready to listen what the opposite person is saying, and instead they will start preaching and explaining everything in detail without even knowing that the opposite person is showing interest or not. So the best way to always try and convince a person is to ask questions, because when you're asking questions, you are making them think. Otherwise, they're just listening and they're not thinking. So always ask questions. So the next mistake is that many vegans put these celebrities on pedestal, which is so wrong. Whenever we give examples about veganism or how these celebrities have turned vegan for whatever reason, we have to make sure that it is only and only said when asked about certain things, but never ever talk about these celebrities unnecessarily, because when these celebrities switch to a non-vegan diet, these vegans go in shock and they start complaining about things and about these celebrities, which makes no sense because these celebrities are not ethical. Maybe there are few ethical celebrities, but we have to understand that celebrities are very professional. So they don't really care about what they eat or what they do or what they wear, because for them everything is money. So we have to understand that, and let's not do that. Let's not do this mistake. Only talk about celebrities when asked. Otherwise, just keep them away from your vegan activism. I've seen many vegan activists try to compare dairy standard practices with the earlier times. Like, in earlier days, people used to not exploit animals so much. They used to keep cows and buffaloes like their family members. And nowadays, there are machines. Nowadays, the practices are cruel. That's not true. So to begin with, mother's milk is only for the baby, right? So we don't have any right to steal their milk, even if the practices are so-called non-cruel or whatever. So please don't do that. Please never compare the earlier stage with the current stage. And vegans should be informed. They should research more before educating others, because I've seen a lot of misinformation given by vegans, which in turn can backfire on us. So it's always better to just research before you talk about any subject. So be informed. So while doing activism, always focus on the cruelty aspect. Don't focus on the health or environmental aspect, because that's where most of the vegans do mistakes. Because when we talk about the health and environmental aspect, probably the person is not very interested, or the person might have a choice to, over their own body or the environment. But then when we talk about animal cruelty, we are putting them in a place where nobody wants to support animal cruelty, because every single person is against animal cruelty. So that's when they realize that they are hypocrites, and they will want to turn vegan. So always talk about cruelty and no health, no environment until last. So do not seek approval from your family members. So I've seen many vegans, banging their head with their family members and try to convince them day and night, and they tend to get into depression. They have burnouts because their family members are not supportive. So this happens with every single vegan when they, because this is something that you're doing, different from the entire society. So there is an obvious reason that your family members and all the people around you will not like it, and they might go against you. So just don't worry, don't bother. Focus on your goal, focus on other people. There are so many people out there waiting for you. Don't seek their approval, don't seek your family members' approval. Eventually, they will support you. They will understand why you're doing it and why it is so necessary. Never get into any religious debate. And here where many activists fail to understand that when they get into religious debate, that discussion or argument goes nowhere. Never get into that. Try to switch to your main point. Try to get them understand why it is necessary and why it is only and only about animals. It has nothing to do with religion. It has nothing to do with their belief system or their beliefs. It's just about justice to animals. So try to avoid religious debates. When you're explaining it to non-vegans, try not to talk about brands. Try not to promote brands, because that's where people might have a doubt whether you are actually trying to push them to buy some products, or you are in collaboration with certain brands or something. So try not to do that, because all your activism, all your efforts go in vain. Don't do that. Always try and focus on probably homemade food, or try to make them understand how it is so easy to make vegan milk or any other product at home. And only if they ask, you can recommend them few brands or few stores or whichever option is available right next to them. Always focus on the why and not how. So this is where many vegans do mistake of explaining to non-vegans how they can go vegan, what they should do, what they should eat, and what they should wear. That's where everything gets diluted. When we focus on the why, when we make them realize why it is important to go vegan, nothing can stop them. These alternatives or the journey becomes very, very easy. Nothing matters then. So understanding the why and making them understand why is so very important.
So cool. I mean, those are some very power-packed points you have there, Shweta.
Thanks.
So I think it has been your exposure with a lot of volunteers, and you've begun to realize that there are a lot of gaps in generally newcomers understanding to what veganism is all about. So is that
Yes,
so?
true.
All right.
Yes.
So everybody, we have almost 10 power pack points by Shweta Savla. Thanks so much, Shweta, for your observations.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.